Hello, welcome back to part two of the Emerald Tablets. So, we're going to, before we get into some other things, I'm going to, this is where we left off with the Ashtar command of the Malchizedek Order, or the Great White Brotherhood. The Airborne Division of the Great White Brotherhood. One of the most interesting and intriguing extraterrestrial groups of them all is that of Commander Ashtar and the Ashtar Command. Commander Ashtar is the man who is in charge of the Airborne Division of the Great White Brotherhood, or Brotherhood of Light. Commander Ashtar and his vast extraterrestrial army of workers of over 20 million work closely in conjunction with the Ascended Masters. Besides the 20 million personnel under his command in our solar system of which he is in charge, there is another 4 million members and workers on the physical plane. Commander Ashtar himself is a great and noble being approximately 7 feet in height with blue eyes. His body type is that of the atom cadmium, which means it is similar to ours of Earth. He evolved from the planet Ashtar. In his development as a soul, he has never had an embodiment on planet Earth. Although Commander Ashtar is in charge of the space fleet in our solar system, he is not restricted to this sector of space in terms of his service. He represents our solar system in the council meetings of our galaxy and universes through the great Omni universe. One of the important things to understand about Commander Ashtar and his army of workers and fleet of extraterrestrial aircraft is that they are etheric in nature. They do not have physical bodies like we do. However, they are able to manifest physical bodies and manifest their aircraft onto the physical plane anytime they want. A person seeing them would not think of them any differently than you or I. Most of the life on the other planets in our solar system is etheric in nature. Sometimes, for this reason, these beings are called Etherians. They would not be considered discarnate beings, for they do have bodies. They are in a state of evolution just as we are, and their life on their plane is not much different than ours, except that they have transcended much of the lower self and astral desires that the people of Earth struggle with so frequently. Commander Ashtar also works closely with the Angelic Kingdom, most specifically with Archangel Michael. Now, these are where all these channeled messages come from, like I keep saying, all these channels. Commander Ashtar is an extremely loving and gentle man, but stern and adamant in his mission to serve, educate, and protect humankind throughout the solar system. Commander Ashtar and his crew do not wish to be seen as gods, but rather as comrades and equals with us on paths of ascension and beyond. Two of his main missions are to spiritually educate mankind to their true mission for being here, and secondly, to defend and protect the Earth and the solar system from the hostile and selfish extraterrestrial groups. People have no idea of the gratitude that is entitled to him and his tireless crew and workers. Ashtar Command and Negative Extraterrestrials. There are many extraterrestrial civilizations throughout the galaxy, universe, and omniverse that have come to Earth to collect data and perform experiments for their own selfish purposes. They are not here to be of service. Some of these extraterrestrials are of what might be termed as neutral nature, and some are serving the dark forces. There are also negative extraterrestrials who openly oppose the Great White Brotherhood and the Ashtar Command. They would seize the planet and take it over if they could. It is the Ashtar Command and civilizations like that of Arcturus that have protected us from this taking place. Just like in Star Trek, there are bands of renegades in their starships that are escorted out of our sector by these commands. Many of the Ashtar Command walk among us in our streets on Earth without even being aware of it. The Ashtar Command serves in a certain sense as heaven's policemen, but are actually 6 planets in the Orion system in a group called the Daros from inner space that have to be cordoned off, so beware of anything to do with the Orion Nebula. One of the problems the Ashtar Command has is that if our government makes legally binding agreements with certain negative extraterrestrial groups, they are not allowed to interfere with our free choices unless we are endangering our solar system and galaxy. The number of negative extraterrestrials is a small number compared to the vast number of positive ones. However, the negative ones are quite dangerous if not controlled. Thank goodness for the Ashtar Command. As a general rule, the cigar-shaped UFO craft are potentially the dangerous extraterrestrials. There are a few exceptions to this rule. Now, these cigar-shaped ones, I have a video that I posted of a UFO that my wife actually caught at work, and it was a cigar-shaped UFO. There's no mistaking it. It's in my posts. It was being followed by a plane immediately afterwards. But they're also linked to the Inner Earth civilization, these cigar-shaped ships. So this is the group that gave us the Emerald Tablets. Now, for one, the Emerald Tablets parallel the Bible like almost perfectly, and for someone to be able to forge them the way that they're written would be all but impossible. It would take somebody like Thoth to write these tablets, because the information that's within them is just unbelievable. It says that you can understand it from every different level of consciousness. Every time you read it, you get something new from it, because the way, as you learn and grow and understand more things, you understand what it's saying, and more things become clear to you. But regardless, this all comes down to this whole angels and demons, and the Illuminati and all this stuff, the Ashtar Command, and the Galactic Federation of Light, and all these extraterrestrials that are interfering. It's basically like this: the extraterrestrials that live inside our planet, and the ones that are of a physical nature. Now, there's a difference between physical extraterrestrials and extra-dimensional extraterrestrials. None of them are extraterrestrial. They're all terrestrial. They're all, more terrestrial than we are. But the fact is that the ones that have a physical form are considered demons, and there are also ones of the spiritual or the fifth dimensional that are considered demons as well. And anything that's basically it's the two opposite sides, the light versus the dark, and the demons and the angels are the demons are the fallen angels. It's the same thing. They're the same beings. But the point is that when you become, when we move from this world into the spiritual world, from the glimpses that I've seen, we're basically in service. We're meant to withhold this structure. We're one little piece in the whole puzzle, and the cycles, and our energy together after we ascend with our twin flames and stuff like that. We're meant to exist as our aspect that we develop in this physical life adds to the picture of the whole, which basically is we're like the feelers that are being sent out to gather information and adding to the whole. God is undefined. Spirit is undefined. The source is undefined. Our experience gives it definition. The fall, or Lucifer, the fall of man, or whatever you want to call it, as I spoke of in my one vision that I had, I seen us come through as sexuality. And sexuality, your root chakra, is your main connection to the spiritual. And these Luciferians, basically Malchizedek and Jesus, it talks about the morning star and how Lucifer, how he fell from the heavens, and he was bright as the morning star and all this, and Jesus was referred to in the same way. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories that about Lucifer and Jesus and all these things. Well, and these are considered, the angels and the demons being the same being, they are considered, Lucifer. There's, in order to serve, I always talk about how I was told not, my spirit guides tell me not to talk about this stuff. They tell me to keep it to myself. But I used my self-will, knowing, what I've been told, to bring this information forward anyway, because we have that. We have our own self-will. And in order to be in servitude, or in order to listen to God, that would mean listening to everything you're told to do. So without arguing, your first response. So you want to get this, you want to do that, you want to smoke a cigarette. You're instantly, no, you shouldn't do it. You're told no, so you don't do it. You're told not to talk about certain things. You don't do it. You're told to do this, you're told to do that. Everything, the way that I, in my book, the way that I explain, how to, if you guys haven't, checked out the book yet, I suggest, that's the key to all this. I mean, I explain the process in which to interpret this information, the symbols, the language of light, the language of the children of light, and the language of symbols. But as we're told from our subconscious or our connection to spirit or everything, we're given a specific mission, and that mission is conveyed to you through symbols, and you're told what to do every step of the way. It's some people call it the death of ego. It's collapsing your own will, and in order to basically become one with the one, that's what is necessary, is collapsing your will. The more willful we are, the further away we are from source, because we're fighting it, we're opposing it, we're resisting it. When you give in to source, you become obedient. You become in servitude, and that's what these fallen angels basically did. They revolted. They refused to follow the cycles. They refused to take direction. They took their own direction and used their free will to make decisions. And that was, the what happened with the angels rebelling in the fall of Lucifer. Lucifer was, the most beautiful angel, and da 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 da, or energy. It talks about in the Bible that we deal with principalities and spirits and things of that nature, of an etheric nature. And there are many beings that are just like us. We are connected to all of them. We are all come from, anything in this physicality comes from the same source. We, as I said, we came through as sexuality, as I seen it in my vision, like a parasite. We came through like a parasite of sexuality that basically wiggled through into this reality and just kept multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. Planets, stars, galaxies, people, races, animals, plants, everything. Everything stems from this, and if you want to look at it as to an infinite, like an infinitesimal amount, like something, like you can imagine it as the splitting of a particle, or the splitting of an atom or something. This mass was so compacted, and when it came through, everything that's in physical reality came from nothing, and it just keeps expanding and growing and multiplying. And I'm talking about, from nothing to something, all these opposites. So because the energy is the way it is and works the way it is, that's what all these reversals that the Luciferians believe in, is because they know that this reversal in energy took place. They know that there's two sides to this. There's two sides to everything, the duality. There's the spirit and the physical. And we live in the physical. Basically, we're all fallen angels. We're all demons. That's what it's referred to in the Bible. We are demons because we exist as consciousness. Now, we have a choice to be angels or to try to get back to grace. And those are the ones that are separated. And those are the ones that separate themselves and judge themselves. We have a choice. And it's like, we're all thrown, say a bunch of mice are thrown in a bucket, and they start becoming intelligent, and they try to figure out who they are, and they think that they're turtles, and they grow up their whole life thinking that they're turtles when they're really mice, and then something tells them, like, you guys are mice, you're not turtles. This is what it is. So people grow up their whole life, being turtles, and then, some of them start thinking, well, maybe we're not turtles, maybe we're something else, and start, following that vision of what they, what their heart tells them that they are. And then there's the ones that, say, no, you're crazy, we're turtles, you can think you're a mouse, but whatever. I mean, this is a bad analogy, but you get what I'm saying. So anyway, we have this whole thing about angels and demons, where people think that demons are bad and that angels are good, and that's not, it's not true. I mean, it's true to an extent, but by what you're inclined to be towards your energy. But demons are basically angels that took their will, like I keep saying. But there's levels to it. Like if you just take your will and you're taking your will to do good things, then you could be considered, you're still fallen, but you're considered doing the work of God still, or evolution. So you're trying to get back to grace. And then there's the ones that take it completely out of control and murder and kill and do all these bad things. That self will run riot. When that self will is taken to the point of using it to do things like that, I mean it's bad because of what it does to other people. But in the overall scheme, it's irrelevant because it's the same energy that it comes from to be conscious to begin with, to have self will. Because at the end of the day, we make our own morals and we determine what is right or wrong by how we feel. And there's too much confusion when it comes to our essence and our purpose. We can only try to get back to a state of righteousness through obedience. And it takes the negative and the positive for all this to exist. They're just different ends of the spectrum. Hot and cold are different sides of the same coin. Evil and good are different sides of the same coin. So until while we're here, this book of Thoth is a manual on all these things and everything that's going on. So I'm gonna get more into this after I read another book, and then we'll talk about some more things. But there's a lot to this, and there's a lot of fine lines and distinctions that people just throw into a regular group of just Here's the halls of Amenti. Deep in the earth's heart lie the halls of Amenti, far neath the islands of sunken Atlantis, halls of the dead and halls of the living, bathed in the fire of the infinite all. Far in a past time, lost in the space-time, the children of light looked down on the world, seeing the children of men in their bondage, bound by the force that came from beyond. The force that came from beyond. Knew they that only by freedom from bondage could man ever rise from the earth to the sun. This is something we're going to go over as well. Down they descended and created bodies, taking the semblance of men as their own. The masters of everything said after their forming, "We are they who were formed from the space dust, partaking of life from the infinite all, living in the world as children of men, like and yet unlike the children of men. Then for a dwelling place, far neath the earth's crust blasted great spaces they by their power, spaces apart from the children of men, surrounded them by forces of power, shielded from harm, they the halls of the dead. Side by side then placed they other spaces, filled them with light, and with light from above builded they then the halls of Amenti, that they might dwell eternally there, living with life to eternity's end. 32 were the numbers of children of sons of light who had come among men, seeking to free from the bondage of darkness, those who were bound by the forces from beyond. Deep in the halls of life grew a flower, flaming, expanding, driving backward the night. Placed in the center, a ray of great potence, life-giving, light-giving, filling with power all who came near it. Placed they around it thrones, 32, places for each of the children of light, placed so that they were bathed in radiance, filled with life from the eternal light. There, time after time, placed they first their created bodies, so that they might be filled with the spirit of life. 100 years out of each 1,000 must the life-giving light flame forth on their bodies, quickening, awakening the spirit of life. There in the circle from aeon to aeon sit the great masters, living a life not known among men. There in the halls of life they lie sleeping. Free flows their soul through the bodies of men. Time after time, while their bodies lie sleeping, incarnate in they the bodies of men, teaching and guiding onward and upward, out of the darkness into the light. There in the halls of life, I want to explain real quick. These extra dimensional beings, see, there's when it explains in the Bible the sons of God, and when they're talking about these other races, there's the confusion comes in when they talk about angels and demons as being these, or the sons of God being these extraterrestrial races. When so we misinterpret it. So we misinterpret when these races that are more advanced than us gave us information, they would talk about angels and demons, and we had no concept of the fifth dimensional realm, or angels and demons in their true sense. So we assigned the angels and demons to the good ones and the bad ones. But as it is, it's angels and demons. Every time you have a negative thought, you're summoning a demon. Every time you have a good thought, you're summoning an angel. And as I was talking about this before, when you think, how we live vicariously through the sons of light, that's what I was talking about in the last part. When you think, you either, they say you have a devil or an angel sitting on your shoulder, your conscious, telling you to do this, telling you to do that. Well, that's quite literal, because as I said, this information existed before us, and it exists before us. So all we do is tap into a template that's already there. We are making a connection to something that already exists. There's nothing that's new that's thought of. And those are what the ascended masters would refer to as the true angels and demons, because those are what give the entities in this realm their thoughts, or their everything. That's how we navigate. So it's important to know that. There in the hall of life, filled with their wisdom, known not to the races of man, living forever neath the cold fire of life, sit the children of light. Times there are when they awaken, come from the depths to be lights among men. Infinite they among finite men. He who by progress has grown from the darkness, lifted himself from the night into the light, free is he made of the halls of Amenti, free of the flower of light and of life. Guided he then by wisdom and knowledge, passes from men to the master of life. There he may dwell as one with the masters, free from the bonds of the darkness of night. Seated within the flower of radiance sit 7 lords from the space-times above us. That's why 7's so important, because 7 octaves, 7 main colors, 7 everything. 7 is just that's why 7 is so important, because octaves or sound or frequency pass into the next note after 7 octaves, which is a new step, or basically a new form. Or that's how dimensions work, and sound as a whole. It's just how it moves. It moves, in that pattern. It's one of the laws. It's one of the circles that it talks about. Mighty and strange, they veiled with their power, silent, all-knowing, drawing the life force, different yet one with the children of men. Different and yet one with the children of light. Custodians and watchers of the force of man's bondage, ready to loose when the light has been reached. First and most mighty sits the veiled presence, Lord of Lords, the infinite 9. Over the other from each the lords of the cycles. 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, each with his missions, each with his powers, guiding, directing the destiny of man. There sit they, mighty and potent, free of all time and space. Not of this world they, yet akin to it. Elder brothers they, of the children of men. Elder brothers because they are basically us in the future. This is after, we have shed the need for physical bodies or worldly desires, and we no longer have use of this physical body, because we realize that the ultimate path is servitude, because we are all the same thing. We all come from the same source. So in essence, helping someone else is helping yourself, and we're all just trying to help the whole get back within. If that makes sense to you. There before them was I led by the dweller, watched him blend with one from above. Then he came forth a voice saying, Great art thou, Thoth, among children of men. Free henceforth of the halls of Amenti, master of life among children of men. Taste not of death except as thou will it. Drink thou of life to eternity's end. Henceforth forever is life, thine for the taking. Henceforth is death at the call of thy hand. Dwell here or leave here when thou desireth. Free as Amenti to the Son of Man. Take thou up life in what form thou desireth, child of the light that has grown among men. Choose thou thy work, for all should and must labor. See? Never be free from the pathway of light. So we're always in servitude. We always must work or labor for ourselves, or for ourselves being the whole for other people. One step thou hast gained on the long pathway upward. Infinite now is the mountain of light. Each step thou taketh but heightens the mountain. All of thy progress but lengthens the goal. Approach ye ever the infinite wisdom, ever before thee recedes the goal. Free are ye made now of the halls of Amenti, to walk hand in hand with the lords of the world. One in one purpose, working together. See? Bring of light to the children of men. Approach ye ever the infinite wisdom, ever before thee recedes the goal. Free are ye made now of the halls of Amenti, to walk hand in hand with the lords of the world. One in one purpose, working together, bring of the light to the children of men. Then, from his throne came one of the masters, taking my hand and leading me onward. Through all the halls of the deep and hidden land, led he me through the halls of Amenti, showing the mysteries that are not known to men. Through the dark passage downward he led me into the hall where sits the dark death. Vast as space lay the great hall before me, walled by darkness, but yet filled with light. Before me arose a great throne of darkness. Veiled on it sat a figure of night. Darker than darkness sat the great figure. Dark with the darkness, not of the night. Before it then paused the master, speaking the word that brings about life, saying, O master of darkness, guide of the way from life unto life. Now, I believe that this is talking about the black hole that exists at the center of each atom or planet, or the central existence of, they say that the atoms have a vacuum. They're filled by empty space, and they just have a vacuum. Well, that vacuum is essentially a black hole or black matter, and that's what they're trying to discover with CERN right now, is, this black matter. Every positive matter has black matter as well. So every atom has a black hole, essentially. Atom is the spark of light. Protons, or it's the spark of light, and then there's a black hole that's attached to it that brings it into existence from the ether. The ether has no form. Its form is made through your intention, just like quantum physics has proven and has showed us with the double slot experiment. So this black mass sitting on the throne of darkness is the Earth's black hole or black sun, whatever you want to call it. It's the center of what brings us into this reality. A sun is a black hole reversed, basically, and a black hole is a sun reversed, and vice versa. That's the nature of existence in our physical plane. The spirit world is on the other side of these black holes, and it's not even the spirit. It could be physical. It's spirit transcends this nature, but it's like gateways or wormholes to different dimensions, different layers and levels in it. And what he's talking about by being free from death and being free from bondage and being free from the darkness is, once you basically, through all your lifetimes, accumulate enough knowledge and enough wisdom to basically hold and sustain the universe that you live in. You start creating your own galaxies and universes and sustaining life and moving down the path. And that's what I had seen in that vision. If you remember, my initial vision was when I was in this ship hooked to this computer downloading the information in the universe. When I seen the evolution of a soul, I had these two beings that looked Chinese that were saying, he's creating new galaxies, he's creating new universes, we've never had anybody with this much potential. Watch my first video and it explains all this. And this is before this happened before I found all this stuff out. this was my introduction into all this, was those visions. And then, I came across all this stuff and was just completely blown away. So we come from the sun. We are our physical form. We're like little molecules of the sun. We're all a part of the sun. Just like dark matter has form on the opposite side. It's like a picture I always talk about with the positive and the negative. And I talked in that one vision about being tethered between the sun and the earth, with my arms outstretched like Jesus, and everything was connected by a thin string of light that looked like a spider web. And every galaxy, every planet, every everything was all connected by this thin string of light. And I was tethered between the sun and the earth, and that showed me, the sun is much more than what people realize. The sun is life. The sun is what keeps us alive. That's what, if it wasn't for the sun, there wouldn't be anything. So that's essentially us. It's where we come from. That's what we sustain on. That's what gives us life. That's what does everything. And as I said, the sun has an opposite. So the word that brings about life, saying, O Master of Darkness, guide the way from life unto life. Before I bring a son of the morning. Before thee I bring a son of the morning. Now they called Thoth a son of the morning, or the same thing as Lucifer, son of the morning star. Now, this is super important to understand, because they're basically calling Thoth Lucifer, which Jesus was the light bringer, the light bearer. Now, remember that. Touch him not ever with the power of night. Call not his flame to the darkness of night. Oh, and when I was talking about the planets, in the atoms, everything is a fractal, which is a bigger or smaller of the same. So an atom and protons, neutrons, electrons, all that rotating around the atom is just like a sun with the planets rotating around it, and and galaxies and all these different things. It's just bigger and smaller into an infinity pattern. Touch him not ever with the power of night. Call not his flame to the darkness of night. Know him and see him, one of our brothers, lifted from darkness into the light. Release thou his flame from its bondage. Free let it flame through the darkness of night. That's pure creation. That's once you become free from your will and your desire, you're free to create. Raised then the hand of the figure. Forth came a flame that grew clear and bright, rolled back swiftly by the curtain of darkness, unveiled the hall from the darkness of night. Now, you got to understand that you have to. We basically we are coming to the point where we create our own universes, our own existence, in our consciousness. And let me continue reading. Then grew in the great space before me, flame after flame, from the veil of the night. Uncounted millions leapt they before me, some flaming forth as flowers of fire, others were that shed a dim radiance, flowing but faintly from out of the night. Some there were that faded swiftly, others that grew from a small spark of light, each surrounded by its dim veil of darkness, yet flaming with light that could never be quenched. Coming and going like fireflies in the springtime, filled they with space, with light, and with life. Then spoke a voice, mighty and solemn, saying, These are lights that are souls among men, growing and fading, existing forever, changing yet living, through death into life. When they have bloomed into flower, reached the zenith of growth in their life, swiftly then send I my veil of darkness, shrouding and changing to new forms of life. This is why we don't remember. Steadily upward, throughout the ages, growing, expanding into yet another flame, lighting the darkness with yet greater power, quenched yet unquenched by the veil of the night. So grows the soul of man ever upward, quenched yet unquenched by the darkness of night. I, death, come, and yet I remain not, for life eternal exists in the all. Only an obstacle, I in the pathway, quick to be conquered by the infinite light. Awaken, O flame that burns ever inward, flame forth and conquer the veil of night. Then in the midst of the flames, in the darkness, grew there one that drove forth the night, flaming, expanding, ever brighter, until at last nothing but light. Then spoke my guide, the voice of the Master. See your own soul as it grows in the light, free now forever from the Lord of the Night. Forward he led me through many great spaces, filled with the mysteries of the children of light, mysteries that many never yet know until it is too late, until he too is a son of the light. Backward then he led me into the light of the hall of the light. Knelt I then before the great masters, lords of all from the cycles above. Spoke he then with words of great power, saying, Thou hast been made free of the halls of Amenti. Choose thou thy work among the children of men. Then I spoke, O great master, let me be a teacher of men, leading them onward and upward until they too are lights among men, freed from the veil of the night that surrounds them, flaming with light that shall shine among men. Spoke to me then the voice, Go as yet will, so be it decreed, master are ye of your own destiny, free to take or reject at will. Take ye the power, take ye the wisdom, shine as a light among the children of men. Upward then led me the dweller, dwelt I again among children of men, teaching and showing some of my wisdom, son of the light, a fire among men. Now again I tread the path downward, seeking the light in the darkness of night. Hold ye, and keep ye, preserve my record, guide shall it be to the children of men. Now, there's a lot of stuff in here, and this is all extremely important. And what the summary of this is it's teaching us how to transcend the darkness that we all fear so much that keeps us bound in this prison. It's possible to physically ascend, and if you die before you ascend, then you're recycled. But if you are able to learn while you're here in this life, you can ascend with your physical body in physicality. That's actually the only way to do it. And it involves basically giving up your will or killing your ego, which is basically finding the true path, or the listening to the word that knows all, listening to the logos, listening to the voice that speaks to you in silence, and the voice that knows all, and the voice that tells you what to do that you don't listen to. And when you start listening to that voice and basically doing away with your self-will and your self-desire, you free yourself from the bondage of physicality, and you start learning how to develop your creator potential. And by living in the now moment, not projecting into the future or the past, you put yourself one step closer. Because as we live in our minds all day, visualizing, this, visualizing that, visualizing this outcome, visualizing that outcome, we create all those variables as a possibility. We create all that. So if you want a certain thing to happen and you think of 20 different outcomes, you create each one of those outcomes, and then the reaction or the effect, it's all cause and effect. The reaction to that is a scattered frequency, which you could get, any one of those outcomes, whichever one you subconsciously placed the most desire, or not desire, but intention. Desire and intention are two different things. So, in a nutshell, this explains to us how to let go of our earthly habits, and how to basically transcend our bondage here and to go within, because this the universe lies within us, not without us. And everything that you see is a reflection of what's inside. And the darkness that it speaks of, as I said, just like the earth has a black hole, we have a black hole. And that is what you want to try to find your way into, is our own personal black hole. You go into the darkness, and in the darkness, once you pass through the darkness, you will find the flaming light, which is yourself on the other side. We're all, as I said, just these puppets that are being controlled from a higher realm. And we basically have been given this, this body, and we get here and we learn how to use it, and certain things make us happy, and our body develops its own personality, and our voice or our desires or our conscious will drowns out the small voice that is our essence. So we have our inner self basically locked in prison, while our outer self or our consciousness controls everything and takes over. And that is the bondage, that is the servitude, that is the fall, that is sin. And we all do it. The fact that we're even here having this conversation means that you are in sin. You are a demon. You are, Lucifer. We weren't the first, we weren't the ones who made that decision, but we are the effect of that cause, which means that we still residually hold that within our essence. So now it's your choice whether you want to go towards the light and be a servant of the all, or of us, or of yourself, and move us forward into love and perpetual bliss, or if you want to keep reincarnating and keep this physical world here, because this physical world wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the fall. As I said, as we develop, think of where we will be in millions of years. The most perfect machine that man create would be us. It would be us. We are the perfect machine. And the consciousness that inhabits that machine is where we come from, is the source. But think about if we evolved. There's fish that have light bulbs that come down in front of their face that act like a lure. There's just so many things in the world that there's no way that it could have just developed on its own. Everything develops around an intention, or an outside force, or an inside force being exerted. And if you think of us millions of years in the future, say that we don't destroy ourselves in the next 100 years, say that no natural catastrophes happen. If you could imagine us millions and millions of years in the future, eventually we would not need certain, we wouldn't need this body. Eventually, because we would do everything telepathically. And, eventually we will evolve to the point where we are angels, because we already have been. We basically fell back in time, as I keep saying. And now we're just moving forward to get back to where we were. We're remembering who we were. This isn't new. And people like Jesus and these ascended masters are consciousnesses that have created a template for us to assume to get us back. And they're people, they're entities that have found the way, or that never lost their way, because they are there. But regardless, I know this is a lot of information to process right now, and there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of different, like I said, lines, because there's people's perceptions of what things are and what people call things in a norm, and then there's what things really are. And you got to understand that we know nothing. We know nothing, and for us to our established, there's what we're taught in school, there's what you're taught by your parents, there's what you're taught in school, there's what you're taught by society, There's what you're taught by history. There's what you're taught by, the human side of it. Then there's what the humans have been taught by the extraterrestrials that's been misinterpreted and, understood to the best of their ability. And then there's what the extraterrestrials have been taught by the angels or the higher life forces and their interpretations of it. So this is like hearsay. It's these a lot of these have been passed down through centuries and ages. A lot of this information, and it's been passed down the lines, and it's been changed, and there's been different things that have been given different names that don't fit. And it basically comes down to, as I said, this whole positive and negative thing, and the going within. So I'm going to cut this for part two. I know there's a lot of stuff to process. If you didn't understand it, watch it again. Some of this is just outright, unbelievable. But this is what this is what it is. This is what the Bible speaks of. All the books of Enoch and Joshua and Jubilees, and even even in the Genesis and Exodus and the Tower of Babel, and Ezekiel, and all throughout in the New Testament where it talks about Malchizedek, and I mean these are all this is legitimate. So anyway, stay vigilant, stay tuned, and I'll be posting an update tomorrow night with part 3.